Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back to the show. We are excited to have Elizabeth Cessna joining us, our certified clinical hypnotherapist at Everyday Hypnotherapy. She's based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show today. How are you?
Thank you. I'm really well. The sun's shining here, so life is good.
Pleasure to have you. Tell us a little bit about what you do at Everyday Hypnotherapy. And by the way, I just want everyone to have the website. It's everydayhypnotherapy.com.
.com, right. And Everyday Hypnotherapy is one word.
Perfect. So tell us a little bit about the work and the services you provide.
I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I'm also a licensed psychologist.
Oh.
So the hypnotherapy I do is clinical hypnotherapy, and I use a method created by Milton Erickson called the Ericksonian hypnotherapy.
Wow.
And how that differs from regular hypnosis, most people have an idea or a picture in their head of what hypnotherapy or hypnosis is, and that is the therapist waving a wand while the client or the patient lies on the couch or sits in a chair, goes into a deep trance. The therapist says all kinds of magic words.
Yes.
The person wakes up and everything is better.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lovely fantasy. If that were only true. Okay. And that is also the exact opposite way of the way I work. With Ericksonian hypnotherapy, we only use very light trances. And I call a light trance intentionally focused daydreaming. And we do unintentionally focused daydreaming every day. If you have called somebody on the phone and the phone is ringing and all of a sudden the person's answering and you're thinking, oh, who did I call? Yeah. You've just been in a very light trance. If you have driven a familiar route to work or to wherever,
wow,
you can't remember exactly how you got there. You just got there.
Yeah.
Because in the meantime, you were in a light trance. Or if you're watching a favorite TV show and the commercial comes on, and the show comes back on, and you think, what'd I miss?
Yeah.
You've just been in a light trance.
Yeah.
One more example of everyday light trances that are unintentional, and that is if you're taking your shower in the morning, you're not thinking, I'm washing my elbow. I'm washing my chest. You're not thinking about any of that. Your mind is elsewhere while you're just doing your thing. Yep. And you've been in a very light trance that is unintentional.
Wow.
With hypnotherapy, Ericksonian hypnotherapy, we do intentional hypnotherapy.
Beautiful.
And so we're able to focus on the subconscious, where the answers to all of our issues are stored.
Wow. Well, hold on. Before we find out more about this, which I'm excited to learn, I'm already learning about Ericksonian hypnotherapy. I want to talk more about you. Could you share a little bit of your background? I want to know a little bit about, the work you've done. You've been doing it for a long time, over 35 years. You're board certified. Tell us where you grew up and how you discovered this and, obviously started. Please. Thank you so much.
Sure. I grew up in western Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio. We moved a lot as a child, but all within the same region. I have a couple different master's degrees, one in psychology, and I've had a private practice doing regular psychology for a lot of years, including child psychology. So I'm a certified play therapist also. And I realized fairly early on the problems that children have are not necessarily the child's problem, but are related to the parent, something going on in the school. Yeah. So I started to work with adults and got training in hypnotherapy.
Okay.
That was years ago. And I never really used it. I just did regular therapy. And I started to get burned out and with doing regular therapy because I was dealing with a lot of grief. A lot of grief work. I dealt with infertility. I dealt with pregnancy loss, a lot of grief. So I flipped back to getting additional training specifically in Ericksonian hypnotherapy.
Got it.
Which is very different than my original training.
Okay.
And because with Ericksonian hypnotherapy, we deal with one issue in 3 sessions only. And everything is positive and future oriented.
Yeah.
So dealing with therapy in this way really helped me relieve the stress involved in being burned out. So I enjoy going to work. I enjoy doing what I'm doing because we only deal with positive changes and growth. With therapy, we say, okay, here's the problem. Where did it come from? Let's sort it all out. In Ericksonian therapy, we say, okay, here's the problem. Now, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
And with me, we do something about it in only 3 sessions. And people also learn a form of self-hypnosis as a part of this so they can continue healing on their own.
Ooh, I want to hear more about this. This is fantastic. And by the way, you've also published numerous articles. You've been a guest speaker on this, and you are still available for, stress management practices and presentations as well. And by the way, you're doing this virtually as well, or just in Pittsburgh?
Mostly in Pittsburgh, but I do it virtually. I have best experience in dealing it virtually just on the phone.
Wow.
So if somebody goes into a very quiet room with no dogs, no children, no partners, no noise, no distractions, they can really focus better on the phone. I have found doing it on Zoom being a little distracting.
Yeah.
So doing it either in person or on the phone works the best. But I'll do it anyway. A person is comfortable in doing it.
All right, good to know. And there's so much to... go ahead.
I also have a free ebook.
Yes.
That's on my website. All people have to do is download it. They don't even have to put in their email address or anything. I don't track that. It's just a gift for helping people deal with anxiety.
Beautiful, which we've seen an uptick since the pandemic, right? How did that affect your clients?
Oh, big time. The pandemic as well as this election.
Oh, didn't think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because the election, everybody is feeling stressed and there's a sense of anger and confusion. Everybody's experiencing that. However, if a person really has some anger issues going on in their lives, or if they're feeling stressed for all kinds of other reasons, this election and the feelings that go along with it magnify that.
Wow. Interesting. Well, can I ask you specifically about some of the specific services you offer besides the clinical hypnotherapy that you mentioned is helpful for, anxiety, breaking undesirable habits, and creating new healthy thought patterns? You also do specialized counseling, EMDR, infertility counseling, quite a few other things. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Wow.
Do you know what EMDR is?
It's the emotion something, sensitized something. Okay. I don't know. I've heard of it, though.
Oh, good. Okay, the reason I was asking is EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization.
Eye movement, but yes.
Okay. And it is used for trauma.
Okay.
So anybody who has been through any kind of trauma, and often when we talk about trauma, people think, trauma is big. If they have lost somebody or if they've seen somebody die or a soldier or whatever. But traumas can be very small traumas. They can be very personal traumas. A sense of being greatly rejected, a sense of betrayal. Yeah. All those things are traumas.
Yeah.
And so EMDR is very helpful with that, to help people neutralize the trauma. And what it does is just does not take the memory away, but it takes the intensity of the feelings away.
Wow.
Because in our brains, one neural pathway goes to the picture, another neural pathway goes to sounds, another neural pathway goes to images, the other goes to feelings and emotions, and they're all separate. But with the trauma, they're all clumped together.
Got it. They're all clumped together. I like that.
Yeah, you get a clump.
Yep.
And so with EMDR, it separates those.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So you still have the memory, but you don't have the intense feelings that go along with the memory.
Okay, good to know. All right. Well, what else is there that you do?
One of the things that I do with the hypnotherapy is help people learn how to say no without feeling guilty.
Yep, those yes pleasers. We all know them. I have a sister that's like says yes, 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 yes to everything, and then she's miserable or she doesn't show up, and I'm just like, you don't need to. People please and say yes all the time, right?
Yes, you've got it. Right. And often people don't say no because they're afraid that they won't be liked without looking at all the other ramifications of not showing up. Mm-hmm. And it also makes the person feel totally overwhelmed. Ooh. So I help people learn how to say no, as well as learn how to set reasonable boundaries and limits with themselves, with a partner, with a child. Because sometimes people have a very difficult time setting reasonable boundaries and limits because they feel guilty or they feel mean or they don't want to put in the effort to the follow-up. Because if you set boundaries and limits that are reasonable, you have to follow up with that. You can't just set it and say it. You have to keep following up. You have to keep reminding the person, not in a nagging way, but in a way that is helpful and reinforces the boundaries and limits.
Got it.
I also help people deal with infertility. Infertility is very, very stressful. And 1 out of 4 couples deals with infertility. Mm-hmm. And the common thought is that it's a woman's issue. It's not. It's a couple problem. 30% is a female factor. 30% is a male factor. 30% is combined, and 10% is idiopathic. Nobody knows. And that's the one, that causes the most stress fastest. Mm-hmm. Because people want answers. So infertility is not cured by hypnotherapy, but the anxiety and the stress and the way they deal with it is helped.
Well, I'm one of those. I've never used hypnotherapy. I had to go through IVF, though, many times, and it was stressful.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
But it finally worked after many attempted tries. Thank goodness. I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, 2 boys. So I'm grateful for that. You know, back then, they didn't have much coping mechanisms, though, at all. So it's interesting to know that, like, wait a second here. There's other things to do besides seeking, first of all, there's medical treatment, then there's holistic treatments, right? People also do acupuncture, but the hypnotherapy must relax you, right?
It helps people get relaxed. It also helps people change their perception of what they're going through. Because often with people dealing with infertility, the sense is that they're a failure, or if it's a woman saying, I'm not a real woman, I can't produce a child. I mean, there are all kinds of thoughts that go along with infertility, as well as well-meaning friends and relatives giving all kinds of advice that is totally not helpful and usually coming from a very fertile point of view.
Oh my gosh, it's so true.
Just relax and you'll get pregnant. Go on a vacation and you'll get pregnant. That's all nonsense. Total nonsense.
I know. The stuff people say, right?
Yeah.
Well, can I ask about, how many sessions does somebody need is it different for everything that they're going through, or how does that part work? Do they sign up for a few different packages for like 6 months? Is it a 6 sessions? What do you offer?
No, really, only one thing with the hypnotherapy. Really, only one thing. No matter whether it's the EMDR or hypnotherapy for whatever issue, it's 3 sessions.
Wow.
Because my experience is 3 sessions doesn't. Is enough, particularly because I teach people self-hypnosis so they can continue on their own.
Yeah.
I don't have a practice that reinforces dependency.
Okay.
They have to keep coming back to me in order to heal.
Okay.
I'm very supportive of people being empowered and helping themselves, and I teach them the tools to do that.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to learn more, and I hope our listeners are too. At this time, we do have to remind everyone how we can contact you, please.
With everydayhypnotherapy.com or my phone number, which is 412-366-4929.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. And as far as the work you're doing, there's still more to talk about. Unfortunately, we only have 3 minutes left. So I know we got a little bit of a late start today due to technical errors, but we're excited you're here. What else do you want to make sure we cover for today that's important?
One of the things that is really important for people to know is that all habits and anxiety and stress are usually a result of an undesirable or bad habit.
Ooh.
And all habits are created exactly the same way. They all start with a thought.
Yeah.
Then there's a picture or an image that can be very clear or very subtle that goes along with that thought. And feelings and behavior follow it. So the thought always comes first and the feelings follow it. So if you change the thought, you change the feelings and the behavior. And that's exactly what we do with Ericksonian hypnotherapy. And that's what I do with people in 3 sessions. I help them change their thought, therefore they're changing their feelings and their behavior.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And let's, one more time, tell you again, everydayhypnotherapy.com. We got to reach out. Please tell her we sent you. And you work with men, females. You work with children as well?
I do, particularly children 9 or 10 is usually the youngest I work with the hypnotherapy.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we're excited that you're here and going to definitely have a great conversation again next time. We'll dive further into the type of work you're doing. And I would love to hear some client experiences on, how this has really helped people, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. You have a fantastic day. And to all of our listeners, please stay tuned. We'll be right back with more. Don't go anywhere. Thank you again. everydayhypnotherapy.com, and we'll chat next week. Bye.
Okay. Bye, Jill. Thank you.
Bye, Linda. Thanks.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.